There's something I've been thinking about. I was watching the tell-all, and Kody Brown just kept deflecting. He didn't want to answer any real questions or talk about what went wrong, and I get it. Maybe it's because everyone has moved on, but something about it felt off. It wasn't just avoidant. It was like Kody actively wanted to shut down the conversation because he couldn't stand to hear anyone else's point of view. He didn't want to hear anyone else's take on what happened. At one point, he even told Suki that he didn't want to be gaslit by her or anyone else about his own experience because he believed they were biased about what they saw. But here's the thing. What he described isn't even what gaslighting is. Kody loves to throw the word around, and honestly, I find it ironic. Just so we're clear, gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation meant to make someone question their own perception, memory, or sanity. It's often used in DV situations or controlling relationships. It's a tactic that involves denying reality, downplaying someone's experience, or isolating them emotionally. Kody keeps trying to say he's the victim of gaslighting, but to be gaslit, you have to actually be the victim. And in all of these relationships, he was the one in control. Gaslighters shift blame, deflect responsibility, and manipulate the narrative to make the victim feel like they're the problem. They contradict themselves, twist facts, and create confusion. And that's exactly what Kody did throughout the entire episode. One clear example was when he said he once had the idea of doing a guy's weekend with David. I'm pretty sure that's total BS. When David responded with, "Sure, but there would be rules," I got the impression that David and Christine were trying to be polite without flat out saying they'd never actually do that. But when the idea came back to Kody, suddenly he was like, No, we wouldn't do that." He completely contradicted himself. First, he says he would consider it, and then flips to saying he wouldn't. That's classic gaslighting behavior. But what really caught my attention was his interaction with Christine at the end of the episode. When they talked about him meeting David for the first time, Kody seemed to suggest that David was trying to hit on his wife. That's not exactly what he said, but he was clearly implying it. He tried to frame it like he just didn't know David's intentions. But in the world of polygamy, Kody was saying, when a guy does that, he's usually hitting on your wife. It was obvious Kody still views other men as competition. He still feels the need to mark his territory. And Robin, on her part, refused to watch videos of Christine, trying to deny that Kody had any jealousy about Christine and David's relationship. She claimed that Kody always looks red in the face, so his flushed appearance wasn't anger. Maybe that's true. Maybe he wasn't jealous of Christine anymore. I honestly don't think Kody wants Christine back in any way. But what's clear is that there's still a lot of animosity there, and he has this deep unwillingness to even talk about Christine. On the one hand, he says, "Oh yeah, we should do this," and then the next minute calling her undermining. Well, I did a search, and this was filmed in October. Christine posted on her Instagram. It was October early, like 2nd or 3rd, that they were in Sedona to film this of 2024, meaning that when they were in Sedona, Christine had already filed for child custody, paternity, and child support. So marinate on that. For a second, it was pretty obvious to me that Christine is terrified to be around Kody, and terrified in a way that I feel like there are things that happen that we don't know about. But the further she is away from him, it's obvious that she has anger and frustration, and she really wants him to be accountable. It's very obvious that Christine, more than any of the others, wants to call out Kody for being the abusive person that he was. It is very clear to me that Christine has had more time away to see clarity. I think being with, her husband David has helped quite a bit. I know that David has discussed therapy, and it in many ways almost feels like she's gone through some therapy. I'm assuming she has, because she was talking about how Kody uses the women, how he manipulated them, he played mind game, he led them on. He was very awful to them, manipulative, I mean, manipulative mind game, abusive using them. She's very clearly connecting what she experienced and what we all saw, that he was playing mind game. And I think when they were talking about them being in the same room, she's nervous because when you're around the person that was abusive to you, and you probably have PTSD from it. She has said that she has PTSD from what she experienced in Flagstaff. So I'm assuming that's true. It can trigger things because he would be in a room with her and try to tell her something that's not true because people like Kody don't change. They can't change. He doesn't care to change. He has two speeds, either manipulating or lying or shutting things down and isolating so that he can control, and he would never take accountability. And even when he does take accountability, it's in my opinion it's very much to shut down a conversation. It's not because he actually is accountable. And while she is saying this, and she's talking about being fearful of being around him, it would give her great anxiety because he would talk to her in a way where he would tell her things that are not true. It's very easy for people that have been abused by their abusers to get drawn back in. So it's very important that sometimes people keep a hard line and a boundary. And I just know this from going through this myself. I'm not a psychologist, but she had filed for custody and child support and paternity like 2 or 3 weeks before this is filmed. So obviously, there was a reason why she did that. And the fact that she was nervous and scared to be around him, there's a reason why she did what she did for Truly and for herself, so that it could be settled in a court because they couldn't do it privately. But it was also very obvious that Kody wasn't happy with the fact that she had done this because of how he responded to this idea that in the future, maybe someday, they could all get together. And she actually said, yeah, a possible double date in the future. She was open to it. We just haven't healed that much. Have you seen each other after lying and say that he would do a get-together with David after saying that he had a better relationship with David? After saying that he and Christine don't talk, and maybe they could talk in the future, but they just don't talk then when confronted with it about possibly talking to her and getting together and doing a double date, which, by the way, is probably never going to happen. I think Christine and David were just being nice. I don't see them ever really socializing with Kody and Robin, but then Suki says to him, well, why don't you get together? Why can't you heal this? And he's like, personal reasons. She's very undermining, and then won't talk about it. And then it was really awkward. I had to cut out all this dead space that he was just staring at her, Suki, and not saying a word. And he at one point took a piece of lint and put it on the floor. And then she was like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I had a hair. And he was just being kind of imposing. And I could just, if that would have had steam coming out of his ears, that's kind of how I envisioned it. And undermining is actually not what I would call Christine. And undermining is actually what narcissists do. They try to devalue people, minimize, deflect. And I'm like, what does he mean by undermining? What does he mean to undermine someone? It's what the action or process of lessening the effectiveness, power, or ability of someone or something, especially gradually or insidiously lessening the effective power or ability of someone or something, so weakening their position or authority, often in a sneaky or gradual way, making someone less effective or confident, making them less strong or stable. He's trying to imply that Christine has some level of power over him, that she has the authority and the power to undermine him, right? And I don't think he really understands what undermining is. But if he truly believes he's being undermined, he doesn't want anyone to knock him off of his authority. He doesn't want someone to weaken his position. He doesn't want someone to make him feel less confident. So really, he doesn't want to hear her experience and what she's gone through. He doesn't want to hear how his behavior impacted her. He doesn't want to hear the truth. he just wants to deflect, because if he doesn't have to talk to her, apparently he can stay in his little bubble of superiority. But what I think he means by undermining, and this is just my assessment based on how he was acting, he was angry. He did not want to talk about Christine at all. I'm confident my opinion that he was mad about the child support, that he was mad that she was filing for child support, because when she left him, he made her promise that he wouldn't do that to her. Which is so stupid. You can't literally force a person not to pursue their legal rights for a child. You can't force someone to make a promise about not doing child support, because legally under the law, he's required to. So he's basically asking her to not follow the law and then be okay with him not following the law and not providing for his child. And any person that gets away from someone like that is going to do what's right for the kid, because at the end of the day, it's about what's right for the child. And what does it say to the child if you don't fight for them, right? What does it say to the child? That if you don't fight that their other parent does what's right for them? She's setting an example truly that she fought for her daughter, right? She's also establishing legally who has paternity or who has custody, what the custody agreement is, and then he's bound by an order with the court on making child support payments that was just finalized on May 21st, but this was like October 2nd or 3rd, and she filed for child support in September, like mid-September 12th or 13th. So he's seething at this moment because he's, in my opinion, angry that she had the audacity to seek child support from him, and initially he fought it. He fought her and filed a counterclaim against her, which everyone was like, he is so vindictive. That is so stupid. Why would he do that? And truly turned 15 in April. And when she turned 15, the minute she turned 14, the judge has to take her account into consideration. And when she turns 15, she's at the end of her freshman year of high school. They're not gonna pull her out of high school and stick her in Flagstaff. And Kody doesn't want, truly, he doesn't want to have her in his house full time. If he wanted Truly in his house full time, she would have been in his house full time when he was with Christine, but he never cared about Truly. In my opinion, based on his behavior, he abandoned that baby the minute it was born because he was chasing Robin, so he fought just to fight her, to spite her. That's how I view it. And Kody also says that commentary about him is bad, commentary that the internet has it all wrong about him, and he's clearly upset about what we say and our views about his position, because again, we probably are undermining his authority and undermining his sense of self. But given the opportunity to literally, try to do the right thing here, he refuses, which tells me that he's still playing mind games. It doesn't, he just says whatever he thinks he can say to get out of the situation. And I honestly don't think Christine and David would ever really want to be in the same room with Kody. Or Robin Janelle made it clear that she doesn't even want to be in the same room as them. She doesn't want to be around them. Janelle was less willing to call out Kody for why she didn't like him, less willing to call it out for why they don't get along. But Christine was like going for the jugular about how awful he was to women, how much he mistreated them, how much he hurt them, abandoned them, neglected them, disposed of them. Janelle made a comment that Kody, while COVID was happening, told them that he didn't want to be in these relationships anymore because they were going to make his lifespan shorter. And I'm assuming because he's talking about the stress of it, and that because of that, he didn't want to be in polygamy anymore because it was going to reduce his lifespan. And he makes a comment like, I didn't want to be with them. Great, I pushed them out. I wasn't interested in it anymore. Is that enough? Is that enough of me to take accountability? I wasn't interested in them. Well, Kody, if you just would say that and mean it. But Janelle said, that Kody and Robin will never take accountability, and Christine says that Kody will never take accountability. And I don't think that Kody means that Christine will undermine him. I don't think he likes Christine because Christine will show him a mirror, and narcissists hate being around the people that are truth tellers. And Christine is obviously still his scapegoat because Christine is the only one willing to call him out truthfully. Some people are going to say, well, she should just get over it. I think part of healing for anyone that's gone through a relationship like this is vocalizing their experience, and I think these women have every right to express themselves as honestly as they need to for as long as possible, because what they endured was hell, pure hell. So what are your thoughts? Is this why Kody was seething with rage? Tell me in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.